to begin with. There was no doubt about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good change for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail.
This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come of the tale we are about to relate.
Scrooge knew he was dead.
Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he had been partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his sole administrator, his sole sign, his sole entity, sole friend, and sole mourner. And even Scrooge was not so dreadfully cut up by this sad event. But on the very day of the funeral, he solemnized it with an undoubted bargain.
Scrooge never painted out Old Marley's name. There it stood, years afterwards, Scrooge and Marley's above the warehouse door. Sometimes people new to the business would call Scrooge Scrooge, and sometimes Marley. It was all the same to him.
Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. Hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire. The cold within him froze his features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, stiffened his gait, made his thin lips blue, his eyes red, and spoke out shrewdly in his grating voice. He carried his temperature always with about him. He iced his office on the dog days and didn't thought 1 degree of Christmas.
Nobody stopped him on the streets to say, "My dear Scrooge, how are you?"
No.
No beggars asked him to bestow a trifle. No children asked him what it was o'clock.
No.
No man or woman ever once in all his life inquired away, thus and thus, a place of Scrooge.
No.
Once upon a time, of all the good days of the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house. It was cold, bleak, biting weather, foggy withal, and he could hear the people in the court go wheezing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts, and stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warm them. The city clocks had just gone 3, but it was a dark day already.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle Scrooge.
Bah, humbug!
Christmas? Of a humbug, Uncle? You don't mean that, I'm sure.
I do. What reason do you have to be merry? You're poor enough.
Come then. What reason have you to be so dismal? You're rich enough.
Bah, humbug!
Don't be cross, Uncle.
What else can I be when I live in such a world of fools as this? Merry Christmas? Out on Merry Christmas. What is Christmas time for you but a time for paying your bills without money? A time for growing a year older and not an hour richer? A time for balancing your books and having every item in them stacked dead against you? If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips would be boiled in his own pudding and buried the stake of holly through his heart.
Uncle!
Nephew, you keep Christmas in your way and let me keep it in mine.
Keep it. But you don't keep it.
Let me leave it alone then. Much good may it do you. Much good it has ever done you.
Christmas does do me good. While I've not directly profited, it shows that people are willing to open their shut-up hearts freely and view others as though they're truly fellow passengers to the grave. It's a time of forgiveness, a charitable, forgiving time.
If I hear one more sound from you, you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation. You are an excellent speaker, sir. I wonder you don't go into Parliament.
Come, Uncle, dine with us for Christmas. But why?
Why did you get married?
Because I fell in love.
Because you fell in love. Good afternoon.
Nay, you never gave that as a reason for coming before. Why give it as a reason for not coming now?
Good afternoon.
I find it very upsetting to find you so resolute on all days. I find it very upsetting find you so resolute on a day so close to Christmas. But I will keep my Christmas humor to the very last. So I say, a Merry Christmas, Uncle Scrooge.
Good afternoon!
And a Happy New Year.
Good afternoon! There's another man, my fellow, my clerk. 15 shillings a week, a wife and family, talking about Merry Christmas. I'll retire to Bedlam.
Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. Have we the pleasure of meeting with Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley is dead. He's been dead these past 7 years. He died 7 years ago this very night.
We have no doubt his liberality is well represented in his surviving partner.
Well, you see, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than desirable that we provide slight provisions for the poor and destitute at this festive season of the year. Many thousands are in need of common comforts. Hundreds are in need of necessities.
Are there no prisons?
Plenty of prisons.
And the union workhouses? Are they still in operation?
They are,
But I wish I could say
they were not.
The treadmill and the poor law?
Both
very busy, sir.
I'm glad to hear it.
We scarcely furnish fish and cheer of body and mind to the multitude. A few of us are endeavoring to buy the poor some meat, drink, and means of warmth. We choose this time because it's a time of all others, when want is keenly felt, and abundance rejoices.
so. What shall I put you down for?
Nothing.
You wish to be anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. You asked me what I wish, ladies, and that is the answer. I don't make merry myself at Christmas. I can't afford to make idle people merry either. I support the establishments I have mentioned. Those who are badly off must go there.
But many can't go there, and many would rather die.
If they would rather die, let them do it and decrease the surplus population. Besides, it is not my business. It is enough for a man to understand his own business and not interfere in others. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon.
The fog thickened so that people ran about with flaring lamps, offering their services to the four horses and carriages, and conduct them on their way. It became foggier yet, and colder.
You there! Go away! Wow. Christmas carols. Bah!
At last, the hour of shutting up the counting house had arrived.
You'll want the whole day off tomorrow, I suppose.
It's quite convenient, sir.
It is not convenient, and it's not fair. If I were to stop half a crown for it, you'd consider yourself ill-used, I'll be bound.
Yes, sir.
And yet, you don't consider me ill-used, paying a day's wages for no work.
It is only once a year, sir.
Ha! A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose you must have the whole day. Be here all the earlier the next morning.
Yes, sir, I promise.
melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tower, and having read all the melancholy newspapers and beguiled the rest of the night with his banker's book, went home to bed. The yard was so dark that even Scrooge, who knew every stone, had to grope with his hand.
Now it must be known there is nothing at all remarkable about the knocker on Scrooge's door, except for the fact that it is exceptionally large. And let any man explain to me, if he can, how Scrooge, with his key in the lock of the door, saw in the knocker, not a knocker, but
Marley's name! As Scrooge looked fixedly at this phenomenon, it was a knocker again.
Pooh! Pooh!
Scrooge walked down the hall and up the stairs, but before he fastened his heavy bedroom door, he checked through his rooms. He had just enough recollection of the face to desire to do so.
Bedroom, sitting room, lumber room.
All as they should be.
Nobody was under the bed. Nobody was in the closet.
nobody in his dressing gown.
Quite satisfied, he locked himself in, which was not his custom. Thus secured against surprise, he took off his cravat, put on his dressing gown and his slippers, and his nightcap, and sat down before the fire to take his gruel.
Mug!
He threw his head back in the chair, and his glance happened to rest upon a bell. The bell began to swing. It was swinging so softly in the outsets that it scarcely made a sound. But soon, it began to ring out loudly, and so did every bell in the house.
Scrooge remembered that ghosts in haunted houses were described as dragging chains.
It's all humbug, I won't believe it.
The spirit passed through the thick wall and entered the room. Chains clasped around his middle. The chains were wrought with steel ledgers, deeds, keys, and cash boxes.
Marley! What do you want from me?
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
Who were you then?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley. You don't believe in me.
I don't.
What evidence would you have of my reality beyond that of your own senses?
I don't know.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Because a little thing affects them. Slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. You may be a bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato. There's more gravy than grave about you, whatever you are.
Also!
Mercy, dreadful apparition, what do you want from me?
Man of the worldly mind, do you believe in me or not?
I do. I must, but why do spirits walk the earth? And why do they bother me?
It is required of every man that the spirit within him should walk abroad among his fellow men, and if that spirit goes not forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death.
You are fettered. Tell me why.
I wear the chains I forged in life. I made them link by link and yard by yard. Is it pattern strange to you? Or would you know the length and weight of the long coil you bear yourself? It is a ponderous chain.
Jacob! Jacob Marley, speak comfort to me, Jacob!
I have none to give. I cannot rest, I cannot stay, and I cannot linger anywhere. In life, my spirit never roved above the narrow limits of our money-changing hole.
But you were always a good man of business, Jacob.
Business! Mankind was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. In life, at this time of year, I suffer most. Why did I walk abroad, fellow men, with my eyes turned down, and never raise them to that blessed star that led the wise men to his stable? Were there no poor homes to which his light would have conducted me? Hear me, my time is nearly gone.
I will, but don't be hard upon me, Jacob.
I've sat invisible beside you many and many a day. I'm here tonight to warn you that you have yet a chance and hope of escaping my fate. A chance and hope arranged by me, Ebenezer.
You were always a good friend, Jacob.
Expect the first tomorrow night.
The first what?
The first spirit that will haunt you.
Oh, fun!
Expect the first tomorrow night when the bell tolls 1.
Can't I just take them all at once and get it over with, Jacob?
Expect the second at the next night, upon the same hour. The third upon the next night, when the last stroke of 12 ceased to vibrate. Look to see me no more, and for your sake, remember what has passed between us.
Scrooge became sensible of confused noises in the air, sounds of lamentation and regret. The air was filled with phantoms. Each one of them drew chains like Marley's ghost. Oh, the misery with them always that they had stopped to interfere in human matters and had lost the ability to forever. And whether from the emotions he had undergone, or the lateness of the hour, or the dull conversation of the ghost, or his glimpse into the invisible world, Scrooge became very tired and fell instantly asleep.
Scrooge awoke. It was so dark he could barely distinguish the window from the opaque walls of his bedroom, the hour itself.
Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold to me?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
Your past.
What business brings you here?
Your welfare.
I'm much obliged, but I cannot help but think that a night of unbroken rest would be more conducive to that end.
Your reclamation then. Take heed. Rise up. Walk with me.
But I am mortal and liable to fall.
Bear but a touch of my hand, and you shall be upheld in more than this.
As the words were spoken, they passed through a wall and entered a street filled with fields on either hand. The city had vanished. The darkness and mist had vanished with it. It was a cold, clear winter's day, with snow upon the ground.
I know this place. I was a boy here. I was bred here.
Scrooge was conscious of 1,000 odors in the air around him, each connected to thoughts of care, love, and joy, long, long forgotten.
Your lip is trembling, and what is that upon your cheek?
Nothing. Nothing. Lead me where you will.
You recollect the way?
Remember, I could walk it blindfold.
Strange. I've forgotten it for so many years.
They passed churchyards, schools, schoolyards, and a winding river, Scrooge recognizing every last bit. Soon they passed 2 boys riding shaggy ponies.
Oh, Robert! James!
These are but shadows of things that have been. They have no consciousness of us.
Why was Scrooge so rejoiced beyond all bounds to see and hear them wish each other a Merry Christmas? What was Merry Christmas to Scrooge? What good had it ever done him? Hey! Wait! They left the high road on a well-remembered lane, and soon approached a mansion of dull red brick. They went, the ghost and Scrooge, to a bare, melancholy room, made barer still by rows of long, plain desks, one occupied by a lonely schoolboy, reading by a feeble fire.
It's Ali Baba! Why, it's dear old honest Ali Baba! Ah. One night, this solitary boy came here just like this on one night, one Christmas night. And it's Robinson Crusoe! There's the parrot! Poor Robin Crusoe, he said, when Robin Crusoe had sailed around the island.
Rah! Poor Robin Crusoe! Rah!
Where have you been, Robin Crusoe?
Rah!
Never mind.
What is the matter?
Nothing. There was a boy singing a Christmas carol at my door last night. I should have given him something, that is all.
Let us see another Christmas.
The room grew a little darker and more dirty. The panels shrunk, the windows cracked, and fragments of plaster fell from the ceiling. There he was, alone again, when all the other boys had gone home for the jolly holidays.
Place. I remember this place.
Dear brother, I have come to bring you home, dear brother. To bring you home. Home!
Home?
Yes, home. Father is so much kinder now. One night, he spoke so softly to me that I was not afraid to ask if you should come home. And he said, yes, you should. And he sent me in a coach to come get you. And you were never to come back here ever again. And we are to have the merriest Christmas of all the world.
She was quite a woman.
Always a delicate creature. A breath might have withered, but she had a large heart.
Indeed.
She died a young woman and had, as I think, children?
One child.
True. Your nephew, Fred.
Fred.
There are now the busy thoroughfares of the city, and went to a place very familiar to Scrooge.
Huh. This place looks almost familiar. This warehouse in London town.
You remember it?
I was apprenticed here. Oh, why, it's Fezziwig! Dear Fezziwig, alive again!
Yo ho, Ebenezer, Dick. Merry Christmas, boys. Let's put up the shutters before a man can say Jack Robinson.
1, 2, 3, they had the shutters up. 4, 5, 6, they were pinned and shut. 7, 8, 9, well, they were done before you could count to 12. Panting like racehorses.
Every movable thing was packed up as if dismissed from public life forevermore. There were Christmas greens, a Chinese lantern, candles, and a Yule log.
This, I remember this, just like it used to be in the good old days. Ah, things are so familiar. I know them all so well. This was wreath, this was here. Dick, young Dick, doesn't know a thing in his head, but whatever. Oh,
In came Mrs. Fezziwig, and the 3 young, beaming Miss Fezziwigs, and the 6 young men whose hearts were broke.
And in came the workers, such as the baker and chef.
There were dances and there were games.
And more dances.
And there was cakes and beers, and plenty of joy going around the entire party. And when the clock struck 11, each of the Fezziwigs took their side of the door to greet each of their guests a good night.
Do we know her?
Merry Christmas, Ebenezer.
Merry Christmas, Ebenezer.
Merry Christmas, Ebenezer!
Merry Christmas, Ebenezer.
Such a small matter to make such silly folks so full of gratitude.
small.
Why is it not? He has spent but a few pounds of reward money, 3 or 4 perhaps. Is it so much that he deserves his praise?
It's not that, Spirit. He had the ability to render us happy or unhappy, to make our work a burden or a joyous occasion, a pleasure or a toil. It is not about the money that he spent. It is about the emotions he created.
What is the matter?
Nothing?
Something, I think.
I don't. I mean, I guess. My clerk. I wish I could say something to him right now. That's all.
My time grows short. Look,
Scrooge was older now, a man in the prime of life. His face had not the harsh and rigid lines of later years, but was beginning to show signs of care and avarice.
To you, it matters little, very little. Another idol has displaced me. And if I can bring you cheer and comfort in times in which I have wished to do so, I have no just cause to grieve.
What idol has displaced you?
A golden one.
This is the even-handed dealing of the world. There is nothing as hard as poverty, and nothing as severe as the pursuit of wealth.
You fear the world too much. I have seen your nobler aspirations fall off one by one, until your master passion, greed, engrosses you. Have I not?
If I am so much wiser, I am not changed towards you. Am I?
Our contract is an old one. It was made when we were both poor, and content to be so, until in good season, we can increase our worldly fortune by our patient industry. You are a changed man.
I was a boy.
Your own feeling tells you you are not what you were. I am. Could you tell me, if you were free, today, tomorrow, yesterday, that you would choose me? No. And
You
that is
think
why
not.
I release you.
I have never sought the least.
In words, no. But
In what then?
in a changed nature, in an altered spirit, in anything that made my love or care or value in your eyes.
Belle,
You may have pain in this. The memory of what has happened half makes me hope you will. For a brief moment. And then you will gladly dismiss it as an unprofitable dream. And I release you.
Belle! Spirit! Do you delight to torture me? Show me no more!
I told you, these are but shadows of things they have been. They are what they are. Do not blame me.
He was conscious of being exhausted and overcome by an irresistible drowsiness, and further being in his own bedroom, had barely time to reel to sleep before he sank into a heavy sleep.
Look upon me, for you have never seen the likes of me before.
You're correct, Spirit. Last night, I went on compulsion. But I learned a lesson, and it is still with me now. If you have a lesson to teach me, let me profit by it.
Touch my robe.
They stood in the city street on Christmas morning, shops still half open, radiant in their glory. Apples and oranges sat blooming in pyramids.
There were bunches of grapes, hung high on conspicuous hooks, that might make people's mouths water as they passed.
There were piles of filberts, mossy and brown, recalling in their fragrance ancient walks among the woods. Everything was good to eat in its Christmas dress.
The people were also eager and hurried, in the hopeful promise of the day that they tumbled up against each other at the door, left their purchases upon the counter, and came running back to fetch them.
Hey, watch where you're going.
You watch where you're going, you.
It's a shame to quarrel on Christmas
So
Day.
it is.
God loves, so it is. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Is there a particular flavor in which you sprinkle upon them?
There is, my own.
Could it be used on any meal this day?
To any meal kindly given. To a poor one most.
Why to a poor one most?
Because it needs it most.
And perhaps it was the pleasure the good spirit had in showing off this wonderful power of his, or his own kind, generous, hearty nature, or his sympathy for all poor men, that led him straight to Scrooge's clerk. And upon the threshold of that door, he stopped and smiled, and blessed the Cratchit's dwelling.
Then uprose Mrs. Cratchit, but poorly in a twice-turned gown, which was raven ribbons, which were cheap and make a goodly show for 6 pence. She laid out the tablecloth.
In came the two young Cratchits, boy and girl, screaming about they had smelt the goose at the baker's shop and known it for their own.
Whatever is keeping Father and Tiny Tim? And Martha wasn't as late last Christmas by half an hour.
Here's Martha, Mother.
Why, bless my heart alive, how late you are, my dear.
We had a deal of work to finish last night and to clear away this morning.
Well, never mind, so long as you were here.
And then came Bob, the father, with at least 3 feet of comforter, exclusive on the fringe. His clothes were darned up and brushed, to look seasonable. Alas, for Tiny Tim, he was supported by a wooden crutch, and his limbs were supported by an iron frame.
And how did little Tim behave?
As good as gold, and better. Somehow, he gets thoughtful, sitting by himself so much, and thinks the strangest things you've ever heard. He told me,
I hope the people saw me in church because I am a cripple, and it might be pleasant to them to remember upon Christmas Day who made lame beggars walk and blind men sing.
Bob compounded the hot mixture in a jug and stirred it round and round, and placed it on the hob to simmer.
Mrs. Cratchit made the gravy hissing hot.
And Martha sweetened up the applesauce.
At last, grace was said and the table was set. They long awaited the carving of the goose.
The two young Cratchits went to fetch the goose, in which they came in high procession.
Mrs. Cratchit, looking slowly all along the carving knife, prepared to plunge it into the breast, and when she did, the long gush of stuffing issued forth.
Hurrah! Its tenderness and flavor, size and cheapness were all signs of universal admiration.
At gum and applesauce, it was enough for the entire family.
This is strange. But Bob could be working right now, and yet he's enjoying himself.
People do that sometimes.
In half a minute, Mrs. Cratchit entered with the pudding, like a speckled cannonball, with ignited brandy, and Christmas holly stuck into the cup.
Oh, what a wonderful pudding. I regard it as the highest success achieved by Mrs. Cratchit since our marriage.
Now that the weight is off my mind, I did have some doubts about the quantities of flour.
Everybody has something to say about it.
But nobody said or thought it was a small pudding for a large family.
It would have been heresy to do so.
Any Cratchit would have blushed to hint at such a thing.
They're not a rich family. Their shoes are not waterproof, their clothes are threadbare, and Bob might very well know the inside of a pawnbroker's. But they are content with one another. And they are happy. They cleared the table and got ready for the rest of the night.
Finally, the dinner was done. The cloth was cleared, the hearth swept, and apples and oranges were laid along the table. A shovelful of chestnuts were shoveled onto the fire.
Bob poured the hot mixture from the jug and served it, as the chestnut sputtered and cracked upon the open fire.
Tell me, Spirit, is Tiny Tim going to die?
I see an empty crutch in a poor man's corner. I believe the child will die if none other of my race come to see him here.
Oh, no, no, Spirit, kind Spirit, say he can be spared.
Please, if you don't bring the other spirit to see this boy, he might very well die.
To the founder of our feast, a Merry Christmas to Mr. Scrooge.
Founder of our feast indeed. I wish I had had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind, and I hope he had a good appetite for it too.
My dear, the children, Christmas Day.
It should be on Christmas Day, where we drink to the health of such an odious, hard, stingy, unfeeling man as Mr. Scrooge. You know this, Robert. You know he is more than anyone, you poor fellow.
My dear, Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, Mama?
Very well. I'll drink to his health for your sake and the day's, not for his. Long life to him. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. He'll be very merry and very happy, I am sure.
To Mr. Scrooge.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Scrooge! It was getting dark and snowing pretty heavily. As Scrooge and the Spirit walked along the streets, the roaring fires in the kitchens, parlors, and all sorts of rooms were wonderful. Without a word of warning from the Spirit, they stood upon a bleak desert moor, where monstrous masses of crude stone were cast about, as though it were the burial place of giants.
They found a cheerful company assembled by a fire. An old man and woman, and their children, and their children's children, and a generation beyond that. The old man, and a voice barely above the howling of the wind, was singing them a Christmas song.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child. Holy
What place is
this? This is the place where the miners live. They know me. See? Huh. They know you. We shall not tarry here. Come.
The spirit did not tarry here, but bade Scrooge hold his robe, and passing on above the moor, they sped to sea. Across the black and heaving sea, they lighted on a ship. They stood beside the helmsman at the wheel, the lookout on the bow, and the watchmen with their watches. Every man in every station. Not one man didn't hum a Christmas tune, think a Christmas thought, or speak of their companion of some bygone Christmas day.
Much they saw and far they went. The spirits stood beside sick beds, and they were cheerful. And they were close at home by struggling men, impatient by their greater hope, by poverty, and it was rich. And also hospital and jail, in misery's every refuge, the spirit left his blessing.
Well, hark, my time grows near.
Are spirits' lives so short?
My life here on this globe only lasts until midnight.
Midnight!
Yes, midnight tonight. Oh, my time grows near. Look!
A boy and a girl, ragged, scowling, wolfish, but prostrate too in their humility, were graceful youths should have filled their features, aged, stale, and shriveled hand, pinched, twisted, and tore them into shreds. Where angels sat enthroned, devils lurked.
Oh, spirit, are they yours? They are mankind's. That boy is ignorance. That girl is want. Beware them both, for on their brows is written doom, unless the writing be erased.
Have they no refuge or resource?
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
No! 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 Am I in the presence of the spirit of Christmas yet to come? Can you not speak to me? Why can you not speak to me? Well, I know your presence here is a good one, as it helps me make a change. I want to be a different man. Spirit, can you not speak to me? Lead on, Spirit.
I don't know much about it either way. I only know he's dead.
When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
What happened to him? I thought he never died.
God knows.
Well, what did he do with his money?
Gave it to his company, I suppose. He didn't give it to me. It's bound to be a very cheap funeral, for upon my years, I don't know of anybody to go to it.
I don't mind going if lunch is provided. What? I must be fed.
Well, I am most disinterested among you, for I never eat lunch, and I never wear black gloves. But I'll offer to go if anyone else will. When I come to think of it, I wasn't his most particular friend, for we used to stop and speak whenever we met.
They now left the busy scene.
Spirit, this place, it is dirty. I don't like this place. Can we leave? Well, couldn't we we? What is the point of showing me all of this? Why are we here? Why are we in this dingy, musty, disgusting place if... Who is that?
We couldn't have met in a better place.
Everyone has a right to take care of themselves. He always did.
True indeed.
Who's for the loss of a few things like these? Not even man, I suppose.
No, indeed.
If you wanted to keep him after he was dead, the wicked old screw, why wasn't he natural in his lifetime? If he had been, he'd have someone to take care of him before he was struck with death, instead of lying there, alone by himself.
The truest word ever spoke. It's a judgment on him. Open the bundle, old Joe, and tell us the value of it.
A seal or two, a pencil case, a pair of old sleeve buttons, and a brooch of no great value.
Oh, some silver teaspoons, a pair of sugar tongs, and a few boots.
I always give too much to the ladies. It's a weakness of mine, and that's how I'll ruin myself. That's on your account. If you asked for half a penny more and made it an open question, I'd repent of being so liberal and knock off half a crown. What do you call this? Bed curtains?
Aye, bed curtains.
So you mean to say you took them, rings and all, with him lying there?
Yes, I do. Why not?
His blankets?
Who else's do you think? You didn't like me to take cold without him, I dare say.
I hope you didn't die of anything catching.
You can look through the shirt till your eyes start to ache, but you won't find a single hole, nor a threadbare place. It's the best he ever had, and a fine one, too. He'd have been wasting it if it hadn't been for me.
What do you call wasting it?
Putting it on to be buried in, but I took it off anyway. If calico ain't good enough for such a purpose, it ain't good enough for anything. It's white as becoming to his body, and he can't look uglier than he did in that one.
They sat around the old man's limb in the scanty light, as though they were auctioning off the corpse itself.
This is the end of it, you see. He frightened everyone off when he was alive to profit us when he was dead.
Spirit, I see. The case of this unhappy man may be that of my own. Please, Spirit, show me something else, something different besides this disgusting tortures, horrible show. Those men and those women stealing the dead man's things. The poor man, this unhappy, greedy, disgusting man. Well, please, Spirit, show me some tenderness connected to a death, some warmth, some love and light. Anything other than that. That disgusting show gives me the chills. Does it give you the chills? Okay. Spirit, please, something different, something more.
The black hurts my eyes. They're better now. It makes the leak back in away, and I wouldn't show my weak eyes to your father for all of the world. It must be near his time.
Past it, rather. But he's been walking a bit slower these past few nights.
I've known him to walk very fast with Tiny Tim upon his shoulder. Indeed, he was so light, and your father loved him so much that it was no trouble. No trouble at all.
Don't be grieved, Father.
Bob was very cheerful with them and spoke pleasantly to all the family. He looked at the work upon the table and praised the speed and industry of Mrs. Cratchit and the girls. He'll be done long before Sunday.
You went today to see them dig it?
Yes, my dear. It would have done you good to see how green a place it was. You'll see it often. I promised him I'd walk there every Sunday. My little child. My little child.
They drew up at the fire, the mother and the girls still working.
I met Mr. Scrooge's nephew in the street today, and seeing that I looked a little down, young Master Scrooge inquired what had happened to distress me. So I told him. I'm heartily sorry for it, Mr. Cratchit, he said, and heartily sorry for your good wife. By the by, how he knew that, I don't know.
Knew what, my dear?
Why, you are a good wife.
Everyone knows that.
Very well observed, my boy. I hope they do. Heartily sorry for your good wife, he said. Here's my card, if you need anything at all. Pray come to see me. Now, it wasn't for the sake of anything that he might be able to do for us, but the way he presented it, that this was so delightful.
I'm sure he's a good soul.
You would be, my dear, if you saw and spoke with him. I shouldn't at all be surprised if he gave Peter a better situation.
Only hear that, Peter.
And then Peter will be setting up for himself with some girl.
Get along with you.
Get along with you.
Just as likely as not, that one of these days, however, and whenever we part from one another, we shall not forget Tiny Tim in doing it, shall we?
No, Father.
When we recollect how patient and how mild he was, although he was only a little child, we shall not quarrel easily among ourselves, and forget Tiny Tim in doing it.
No, Father.
Spirit. Tiny Tim. He was so young. He was a good soul. How could this cruel world? I can't believe that Tiny Tim. I can't. Lead on. This place. I recognize this place. This is my place of work. I must see what I am like in the future. Huh. That's not me. That's not my furniture. That's not me. Spirit, where am I? Where do I fit in this future world? If I am not, oh, I see. If I don't change my ways, I lose my position. I lose my company, the company I have worked so hard to uphold, even after Marley died. Spirit, I see. I see that I must change my ways. But what am I like in the future? How will I go on? How will anything change? How will anything become greater, bigger, grander? What can be done? What difference can be made? I don't know.
They passed an iron gate, a churchyard, to a gravestone.
Spirit, before I look upon the name of that stone, tell me, are these the things that will be, or are these the things that can be?
Scrooge peered upon the stone and read,
Ebenezer Scrooge! No, Spirit, no! I am not the man I was! Why show me all of this if I am beyond all hope? That man was me. Those things were mine. No! I am a different person. I am a different soul. I will keep the spirit of Christmas in me all year long. I will keep the past and the present and your lessons within me. Just please, Spirit, please tell me I can sponge away the writing on this stone. No. Ah! That is my room. This room is my own. This place is my own. I've lived. I live on. I am as happy as a child, the prize turkey at the butcher shop. Not the little prize turkey, the big one.
The one as big as me?
Yes, yes, my buck, the one as big as you.
It's hanging there now.
Run along and fetch it for me.
Go buy a turkey. Oh, right.
No, no, in all sincerity. Be back in 10 minutes. I'll give you a shilling. 15 shillings. Be back in 5 minutes and I'll give you half a crown.
Soon enough, Scrooge got down the stairs, and he waited by the doorstep. However, it was quite cold, so he had stayed inside for a little bit, just to keep warm, and waited for the boy to come with his turkey.
It's a wonderful knocker. What a wonderful, wonderful knocker.
By now the people of the town were pouring forth, eager to share the holiday spirit. Scrooge had not gone far when, coming on towards him, was a gentlewoman who he beheld in the counting house the day before.
No, miss.
Mr. Scrooge.
Hello, miss. I'm here because I feel the need to apologize and offer you and all of those collecting a donation in the amount of...
My dear Scrooge, you cannot be serious.
Yes, yes I am. You're welcome. So, will you do that?
Yes.
And will you promise me one thing?
Yes, of course.
Visit me. Will you come and visit me?
I will.
Good. Then I will make sure that that donation goes directly to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
God bless you.
Bless you.
Scrooge had not gone far before going on to the nephew's house. He passed the door a dozen times before he had the courage to knock, but he made a dash and did it.
Oh no. Nephew. It is I, Uncle Scrooge. May I come in for dinner?
May you come in? Why, of course you may. Join us. Oh, let's do a chair. Never does anything right. Come, everybody. Meet my Uncle Scrooge.
It's very nice to meet you, Mr. Scrooge.
Very
We've
nice.
heard a lot about you.
I'm sure.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
It was a wonderful party, wonderful games, and wonderful happiness. But Scrooge was early off at the office the next morning. If he could only catch Cratchit coming in late, and he did. Oh yes, he did. The clock struck 9.
No, Bob.
What do you mean by showing up at a time like this?
I'm sorry, I'm behind my time.
Well, yes, you are. We can have a discussion, Mr. Cratchit.
Oh no.
But first, I must know, what were you doing?
I was making rather merry yesterday, celebrating Christmas with my family.
And you can?
Yes.
Well then, we have a discussion about your salary. I'm giving you a raise.
What?
You're getting a raise, Mr. Cratchit.
Huh? That's not something
sure. Now, go get another log for the fire before I can change my mind.
Scrooge did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die.
He became a father, a friend, someone who cared for Tiny Tim. He became better than he had ever been before. Scrooge started off cold-hearted, but he ended up, well, warm-hearted.
And Scrooge kept the Christmas spirit alive, if any man among us had the knowledge. May that be said of us, and all of us.
And as Tiny Tim observed,